story long. All right, come to a comfortable seat. And we're just going to take a moment to sit, and then we will actually start our practice standing. Take a moment to shift your sitting bones and make sure your hips are comfortable. This week, we get to focus a little bit on finding ways to help ourselves work through our obstacles. Okay, so I talked a little bit about this last week and in some meditation and in some emails. As we work through some of the stuff going on, one of the things we get to realize is that oftentimes it's our own minds, it's our own self that is kind of standing in our way. And so on our yoga mat, we can practice working through some of our obstacles by providing ourselves with other options and trying things out in different ways. And so today, like I said, we're going to do our half moon a couple different times in a couple different ways to sense what feels the best, what helps us open the best, what helps us come to a place of being able to take a really good breath and feel good in our bodies. And so sometimes that isn't that you can't necessarily do maybe the version that's on the yoga journal cover, which personally, that's never going to be in my practice because I have short arms, so reaching to the ground isn't really in my practice. So we get to tune into how we can work through our own obstacles for ourselves. So as you sit tall, as you let your hands rest down, lengthen your sides. Think of your entire torso getting longer from hip to armpit, and then shoulder blades are engaging onto your back as you let your eyes close. And then begin to tune into your breath, letting your breath move thoroughly throughout your body, in and out of your nose. Oftentimes, one of our obstacles is actually our breath. When we start to work hard or we sense something difficult, our breath shifts. So from right here, tune into a breath that moves from belly to ribs to chest on the inhale, from chest to ribs to belly on the exhale. 3-part thorough breath in and out of your nose. And as you connect hands together at heart center, tune into a mantra of everything I need is already within me. Inhaling, everything I need. Exhaling is already within me. A couple deep breaths this way. Everything I need is already within me. On your next exhale, bow toward your heart. And softly open your eyes, releasing your hands down. And then we'll come up to stand at the front of our mats. As you come to stand at the front of your mat, take a moment to set yourself up. Think of creating a base for yourself with your feet, inner hip distance apart and parallel. Lift and spread your toes, and then root them down into the ground, feeling that strong support. Turn your palms open, starting to lift your shoulders up and back, expanding through your heart space. Take a full breath here. Inhale, arms overhead. Take a hold of your right wrist and exhale over to the left side. Little bend to your knees, move your inner thighs back, and then engage low glutes and low belly. Engage your low ribs, and then inhale, turn open with your right shoulder just a little bit more. Full exhale, maybe you side stretch a tiny bit more. Inhale back up to center, switching wrists, and exhale over to the right side. Again, that little bend to your knees so you're not locking out your knee joints. Move inner thighs back. Engage low glutes, low belly. Engage low ribs. Turn open with your left shoulder, and as you exhale, maybe side stretch a tiny bit more. Inhale back up to center, and exhale, release your arms down. Again, turn your palms open, and this time maybe rotate a little further with your palms, a little more open through the front of you, then engage your low ribs. Inhale, stretch up overhead, clasp your hands, turn palms up, draw shoulder blades onto your back, even as you press up. Take a little ear to shoulder, working through some neck and shoulder tension if there is any present for you. Then releasing hands down, take a hold of your head with your right arm and take your head over to the right side. Left shoulder blade moves onto your back, gratitude with your left arm. Take a full big breath and gently tuck up and down with your chin. Inhale back up to center. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder, taking hold of the side of your head with your left hand. Gratitude with your right arm. And then gentle tuck up and down with your chin. Inhale back up to center, bring hands behind to clasp, press palms, lift shoulders up and back, and with elbows bent, hug them toward each other. Take a big inhale and lift your chest up high. Exhale, engage low belly, low ribs, supporting the back body even as you open through the front. Release your hands. Inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, good bend to the knees as you fold over your legs. Inhale, lengthen part way, hands come up to your knees, extend your heart forward, move shoulder blades onto your back. Exhale and fold. Plant fingertips, feel free to use blocks under your hands here if you would like, but we'll step back with your right foot into your lunge, bring your right knee down to the ground, extend your heart forward. Centering with your hips, drawing your left hip crease back in space. Push your right knee down so your right hip crease has a little lift. Inhale, step forward, and exhale, left foot steps back into your lunge, setting your left knee down. Again, center with your hips and create that push down with your back knee, and even more so, think of dragging your back knee forward as you push your front heel down and drag it back. So you have a little scissoring action happening with your legs. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, step back with your right foot. This time knee lifts if that's in your practice. Center with your hips and bring your hands up to your hips to rise. As you let your left hip crease keep moving back in space, push your back toes down and get your back thigh to lift a little. Hands behind to clasp, big opening through your heart space. Remember, keeping your elbows and your wrists unlocked. Push palms together. Take a big deep inhale, lift your ribs, your chest, your heart. Exhale, tone through your core. Releasing hands down to your blocks. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, step your left foot back into your lunge. Pause and center with your hips and bring your hands up to your hips to rise. And again, keep wrapping back with your right hip. Keep pushing down with your left toes. Lift with your left hip. Big inhale, hands work further back onto your low back. Hug your elbows back. Exhale, low belly, low ribs engage. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat. Inhale, step forward. And exhale, fold over your legs as deeply as your body is ready for. Let your head hang. Even if you're up a little higher, you can always have your elbows up on your thighs or your hands up on your thighs. Knees stay a little bent. Give a little nod and a little shake to your head. Ear to shoulder, ear to shoulder. And now bring your hands to blocks out in front of you. And it could be a chair, whatever you're using for your props here. But take wrists underneath your shoulders. And from this place, lift your right leg up behind you. And now, left thumb into your hip crease. Press your hip crease back in space and extend your heart forward. Now tone, low belly and low ribs. Left hand back down to your block. Both hands stay at your blocks now. You're going to keep your left thigh pressing back, even as you turn open with your right hip. As you turn open, your toes turn to the side on your right leg, but keep that left thigh pressing back. Extend your heart forward. And now as you exhale, bring hips back to center. And inhale, open up. Exhale back to center one more time. Inhale, open up. Exhale back to center, set your foot down. Extend your heart forward. And then start to lift your left leg. And as you do so, keep your right thigh pressing back. Think of rotating your toes down here on your left leg so your inner thigh is lifting. Extend your heart forward and tone. Low belly, low ribs. Keep your right thigh pushing back and begin to open up with your left hip. Turning your toes to the side. Exhale, hips come back to center. Inhale, open up. Exhale, hips to center. Inhale, open up. Exhale, hips to center and set both feet down. Inhale, lengthen partway, hands above your knees. And exhale, fold over your legs as deeply as you need. Then hands to your hips. Push your hips back, your heart draws forward, start to lift up and open through your shoulders and rise all the way up. And now we're finding our balance onto our right foot. If you want to, come to a wall and hold on to it, but bring your left knee into your left hand, flex your foot, and open it up. Take a big deep breath, lift your ribs, your chest, your heart. Keep flexing through your foot, little bend to your standing knee and push. Inhale back into center and exhale, foot back to the ground. Now find your balance onto your left foot. Bring your knee up into your chest, flex your foot and open it up. Take a big breath, lift your chest, lift your heart. As you keep your foot flexed, also keep a little bend in your standing knee. Squeeze your glute, stand taller. Inhale back to center and exhale, foot back to the ground. Feet inner hip distance apart and parallel, hands together at your heart. Close your eyes and take a full breath. Inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, lengthen part way. And exhale, fold. Plant hands, step back, downward facing dog pose. Take a full breath. Rotate elbow pits forward and push. Send your sitting bones up, take a full big breath. Inhale, come forward into your plank. Knees on the ground if you want. Keep rotating forward with your elbow pits. Push, extend your heart. Take another full breath right here. Tone, low belly and low ribs. And then exhale, downward facing dog pose. And then walk your way forward, coming into your forward fold at the front of your mat. Inhale and lengthen. Walk your hands up your legs and rise all the way up to stand. So now we're going to make our way over to the wall. And as you find your way to the wall, you get to have whatever props you feel you might need. I'm going to grab the big blocks because today I feel like I need a little more space to be able to create length. So now we're coming over to the wall, block close to the wall, and it's our right hip that's closest to the wall first. make sure you have a little space. I like to bring my hands to my hips. My elbow is against the wall. There's space for my hips because when I open up, I have glutes that are going to get in the way. So I want to not be knocked over by them. So a little space. And then from that place, take an inhale and lift your heart up high. Exhale, hinge from hips, knees are bent. You're going to take your right hand down to a block or the floor if you have a little more space. The goal is to have a long spine. So if you're tilted downward, come up a little ways. And now shift your weight onto your right foot and lift your left leg. From this place, you can start to turn open with your hips and even let your hips come to the wall and let your back start to turn open toward the wall. But now with your standing leg, try to turn your knee toward the wall, toward your pinky toe edge. From this place, if both shoulders are against the wall, then maybe you stretch your top arm to the side. Engage your back foot, push through your heel, push through your standing toes and heel. Take a big deep inhale and exhale. Hand comes to your hip, foot back to the ground, and then fold over your legs. And now hands to hips, push hips back, shoulders lift, all the way up and open, rising up into your mountain pose, and then we're going to turn ourselves around. So now left hip toward the wall, block against the wall. Same thing, a little distance with your hips, and I use my elbows as a little bit of a judge here for how far. So hands to hips, my elbow gently touches the wall. And now find feet inner hip distance apart. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge from the hips and fold. Take your left hand to your block. Right hand is at your hip. And then begin to lift your right leg up. And from this place, notice your right thigh and press your right thigh back. Then begin to open up with your hip. Then begin to let your glutes, your back, your lifted leg be against the wall. And if both shoulders are against the wall, maybe stretch up. Maybe take your gaze up toward your top hand, or it can always be down toward the ground. But take a big breath and think about reaching in all directions. Push down into the floor, reach out through both feet, both hands. Exhale, both feet down, fold over your legs. Hands to hips, press your hips back, heart forward, and inhale, rise. As you come back over to your mat, you get to decide for yourself, is that the best way today at the wall for you to work through this pose that I consider to be quite challenging? Or would you like to work through a little bit of difficulty and challenge at your mat? Your choice. So come to your mat if you would like to, or stay at the wall. Those are your options here. You can have as high a prop as you want. Hands to your hips. Take an inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge from your hips and fold. Bring hands down to your blocks. Extend your heart forward, and then lift your right leg behind you. And now as you lift your right leg, send your left thigh back in space. You can shift where your left hand is. This is a part of your problem solving and working through your obstacle being balance sometimes, right? And then as you begin to turn your hip open, right hip opens up, think of pressing your left thigh back. Push through your right heel, turn your belly and your heart open, and notice what the obstacles are for you. Notice if you feel really wobbly today. Maybe you keep your top hand at your hip instead of stretching up. Maybe you keep your gaze down. Maybe you keep both hands down. Maybe you stay at the wall. Take a big breath wherever that is for you. On your exhale, both hands come down, both feet come down. Take an inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. And now bring hands to your blocks again, lengthen. And then we're going to find our balance onto our right foot. So your right hand, again, can move to where you need it to be to help you find your balance. Your right toes stay straight ahead. Begin to lift your left leg up behind you. Pause and send your right hip back. And then begin to turn your left hip up. As you find that place for yourself, again, tune into what the obstacles are for you. Maybe shift something to help yourself work through it. Maybe turn open enough to stretch a top arm. Maybe turn a gaze up. Maybe a simple turning of your gaze down helps. Or even bringing both hands down instead of lifting one of them. Big deep breath. And exhale, both feet come to the ground. Both hands come down. Take an inhale and lengthen part way. Exhale and fold. And if you're at the wall, back to your mat. Step all the way back to a downward facing dog pose and take a big breath. Lower knees down, bring hips back to heels. Take a child's pose. Take a few moments to shift and move through your hips. And then gently push yourself up to your seat. And we're going to come all the way down to sitting bones. And bring footprints to the floor right in front of you. And with your feet on the ground, you're going to send them far enough away so you feel comfortable sitting tall. That might mean sitting up on a blanket here, but we'll take a little spinal twist. So right arm comes across the front of your knees. Left fingertips behind your left hip. Press down and lift through your sides. Now exhale and draw your lower ribs in to help you twist. Take a big deep breath right here. Inhale, come back into center and cross. Left arm over the front of your knees. Right fingertips behind you. Press down and find lots of lift, lots of length. Exhale, low ribs draw in to help you twist just a little more. Inhale, come back in the center. And now we're going to open our legs up for a wide-legged stretch here. So you may have to shift where you are on your mat. You might even turn yourself sideways so that as you take your legs out as wide as is right for your body, your heels can be on something. For me, that feels the best, but you get to find what works the best for you. Then the other part of this is as you take your legs wide, notice if you take them too wide, then your low back might round back. So maybe bring them a little more narrow. You get to experiment and discover where you are today, okay? And again, your hips can always be lifted. Shift your sitting bones, move them back and broad. And now press your heels down so much that you feel your knees lift a little. And then press right fingertips just inside your right leg. Turn your belly and your heart to the left side. Put both shoulder blades on your back. And then maybe stretch your top arm over your ear. Stay open through your torso and lifted. And if that can happen, maybe you walk your fingertips down the inside of your leg, coming towards your heel. If that makes you rounded, then maybe work your hand back toward your knee. Take a big deep breath. Inhale, rise all the way back up. Left fingertips just inside your knee. Right arm reaches over your ear. And then from here, put both shoulder blades on your back. Lengthen and turn your belly more. From there, stay open, stay lifted, and move as far toward your left heel as is right for you today, as you can stay long and open. Big breath. Inhale back at the center. And now fingertips either in front of you or behind you to help you sit tall. Take a full deep breath right here. Then if it's in your practice, you're walking your hands forward, coming into as far a forward fold as your body is ready for. And again, you're looking for a long spine, not to round, but to stay lifted and long, even tilted forward with your belly. Take a big deep breath wherever that is. And then inhale, rise all the way back up. And take a hold of the other sides of your knees to help you move one foot and then the other foot back to the floor, knees bent. And now we're going to make our way all the way down onto our backs. So make sure that you have plenty of props nearby. And from your back, your knees draw in and rock a couple times side to side. And now extend your right leg out all the way against the ground. Take just a couple breaths in a twist, taking your left knee across to the right side, but only as far as your left shoulder can stay down. Take a big couple of breaths. Then bring your knee back into center and open it up to the left side. And from this place, if you want, you can add a prop underneath your knee. But reach your arms overhead and take this reclined version of tree pose and reach through your right foot as if you're standing on a floor. Reach your heel, rotate your toes up, inner thigh down. Full breath. And now inhale back up to center with your left knee, give it a hug. And then both feet to the ground. Draw your left leg all the way out. Right knee in. And first take it across your body to the left side for a short spinal twist. Big deep breath with your right shoulder still on the ground. Then inhale back into center and open your knee up to the right side. This tree pose on the second side where your foot is in toward the side of your leg. Maybe you put a block underneath your knee. And then start to energize your left foot. Flex it, reach through your heel, and maybe reach your arms overhead. Take a big deep breath. And then bring both feet back to the ground. And first, I almost forgot, bring your right knee into your chest and give it a squeeze. And then both feet back to the ground. And as you draw your knees in together to touch, hands rest on your hips, or a hand on your belly and a hand on your heart. And as you close your eyes, start to set yourself up for a really comfortable Savasana, which might be right here. Or it might be setting something underneath your knees, or a blanket over the top of you. But take the time. Let this pose be a really supportive release. And begin to take a deeper breath. Gentle movement through fingers and toes. And as you're ready to, you're bending your knees and rolling over to whichever side feels best. And slowly pushing yourself back up to your seat. And with hands connecting at heart center, with eyes closed, Take a moment to tune into your full breath. And honor yourself for time spent this morning on your mat. Bow toward your heart. Have a very peaceful, beautiful day. Namaste.